on Australia's business channel. This is Media Week.
Hello and welcome to the program. Ahead, we'll check out Adshell's new Sydney Trains digital ad network. Shine Australia becomes a part of newly merged global TV production powerhouse, and inside InStyle magazine's Women of Style Awards. But first, 10 Network has taken the axe to the majority of its news bulletins and its morning program Wake Up to 150 jobs set to go, with production ending as soon as this week. Well, for more on the reaction, James Matting, editor and publisher of Media Week, joins us, of course, our co-host today. James, good to have your company as always. Talk us through, I guess, your reaction to this. More jobs to go. Was Wake Up a surprise to you?
No, not at all. And I think, I don't want to speak for people working on it, but they would have been thinking, look, this mightn't last forever on those sort of numbers. It just wasn't sustainable. It never rated very well from the beginning. It didn't change. 10 persisted with it for a really long time, probably too long if you're looking at their bottom line. They gave it every chance, but it wasn't to be. And the show surrounding it, they had an early morning news bulletin starting by, I think, 5:30 a.m. that came on. Wasn't getting any traction. Morning news after Studio 10, that's gone, and the late news, which didn't have much of an audience either. And and 7 and 9 don't broadcast the late news because they used to, but it was just the audiences weren't there. They weren't able to get a return on the investment. That's
pretty much the majority of their news offering, and it's interesting because they did just bring in Peter Meakin, of course, and he was quoted in Fairfax Media today saying it's up to the board whether they need an admiral when they don't have a fleet. True story. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, look, he's got a contract. I think he's probably safe,
But what's he?
Well, he's going to really focus on that 1 hour bulletin. I think he's got some say over the project now too. I think that might come under his. And that's a really crucial show for them. And they've got to somehow bridge that audience from their news, which is very good. They've got to bridge that through and push up that project audience. The project is very well in its second half. That first half, they need to fix it. They've got a new show coming in at 6 p.m, so we think it's probably going to be a quiz show. So they're still two really crucial hours that they need to work on. They've still got Studio 10 will continue in the mornings. It's sort of got a current affairsy feel to it. So that's important. It's getting a little bit of revenue, so they want to try and build on that.
How much credibility, though, will they have with their news offering with just a 1 hour bulletin a day?
It's not a go-to news place when a big story breaks, but was it going to be if they persisted with what they were doing now? No. So they just realised, look, we'll cut and run. We'll just get out of that stuff. It's a distraction. It's a little bit of a financial drain, not massive. They're going to save some money. They'll reveal how much to the market. I'm thinking between $10 and $20 million annually, but there'll be an upfront redundancy charge that they'll have to wear for this in this current financial year.
Just quickly, because there's been reports that 10 and UK Network ITV have held some talks, potentially ITV taking a bit of a stake. Is there any kind of truth to this, do you think?
Look, I think that'd be very early days, and there was some talk about maybe a US network also interested. But I think people are realising, look, there's still only 3 commercial broadcasting licences in Australia. 70% of the population don't have subscription TV, so it's a big market for 3 people to cater to. I think, well, they might sniff a bargain, if they could get in there and do a turnaround. We've seen NBC's just turned around in the USA, had their best year in 10 years, so look, it can be done.
OK, well, let's bring in the share market reaction now. We're joined by Evan Lucas from IG. Evan, great to have your company. I guess, we've talked about the initial reaction, but how have the shares performed in 10 since we've heard this news?
Yeah, very interesting, and I think James is right on the head there. It's the cost-saving part of this that will be beneficial. Reaction from the share market has been absolutely muted because, again, the biggest issue is the effect in FY14, and redundancies are certainly there, which therefore means, again, the capex side of 10, which has been astronomical, will be continuing a problem in this year. Again, we've still got also debt overhangs as well that sits around there all about. I think from a structural point of view, it had to happen. I think from a share point of view, we still haven't seen a story that really shows that 10 is turning around, and it has fallen almost 27% from their high of around about 34 cents halfway through March. So this is, another step of the right direction from a wrong direction. And I think, again, until we see real good clarity around their strategy and around their advertisement strategy, it's very hard to get involved with 10, and that's why the market has been unresponsive. And I'm not surprised, considering at the moment we still can't see a way around their debt issue and around their current issue with advertising, which is very, very low compared to its competitors.
Evan, on a more positive note, Telstra at a new high this week. They've announced a new Wi-Fi network. How's that affected sentiment?
Yeah, Wi-Fi is a very, very interesting part of the market that Telstra is still having competition with, and I'm not surprised they're looking at that way. You've got to also remember Telstra has a huge saturation. It also gives them their ability to continue to wrap up their bundles as well and really ramp that up. Market sentiment at the moment is positive on other sides of Telstra business. From a share market perspective, it's got to be that yield trade why you've seen it. But this is, again, David Thodey trying to find Telstra's way around their very low growth profile, and this is certainly a good step in the right direction. And because they have competition from TPG, IONET, etc. So good positive step forward. I don't think it's a game changer yet for Telstra because they are still market saturation and they're a yield trade play rather than a growth story.
All right, Evan Lucas, IG, great to get your analysis. Well, the 2014 InStyle and Audi Women of Style Awards held this week belong to Jessica Mauboy, fresh from her star turn at Eurovision. The Pacific Magazine's monthly made some changes to the event this year, but the much talked about goodie bag was still handed out to guests. Well, to tell us more about how important the event is to marketing the brand and building readership, we're joined by Kirsten Galliot, editor of InStyle Magazine, and of course still James Manning. Great to have your company in the studio today.
How are you both?
Good. Talk us through, I guess, how do you come up with the list of, winners and nominees when there's such a big list of talent?
Well, that's what's so gratifying about it, actually. So we've been doing these awards for 6 years now, and we've honoured some 180 women. And you think, oh, is the pool big enough? But of course it is. And because we're looking at such different categories from, some of our core staples like, beauty and fashion and lifestyle, but also business, the environment, charity and community. So there's such a pool and there's so much talent in this country.
Tell us, who are you most excited about this year? And just give us a little bit of insight. It's women of style. It's not about making lots of money, is it, or being the most successful business person, or
no, definitely not.
Where does that criteria come?
So the criteria really is, style is obviously about more than just what you wear. It's about how you present yourself, how you carry yourself. But most important of all, it's how you are acting and how you're leading. So these women are, yes, they're trailblazers within their own fields. But what's really important to these awards, and I think what sets them apart, is that they're really giving back to their communities. So obviously you've got the big celebrities who we all know, but you might not know about some of the more quiet work they do in their own communities. And then we've got, leaders in business and environment who are somehow running, in the case of Cassandra Kelly, who won last night from Pottinger, the investment company. Amazing woman, so busy, and yet on the side she mentors the homeless people. She co-founded Glass Elevator, which helps women rise through the ranks. Shows she's very philanthropic.
So how did the awards and the event differ from last year's event?
Well, last year was my first event, and I had no idea about the beast that it was. I sort of turned up on the night, didn't know whether or not I should be very nervous. I should have been. So I think the thing with me last year was more about having a look at the event, seeing how it worked. And really, from an event perspective, we just changed up a bit in the order, making sure that, we fed people, those kind of basic things, making sure people are happy and fed and watered. And then, of course, we had an amazing performance by Jess Mauboy to kick off the event before going into the awards.
No, I think you've worked a bit with Jess before, haven't she? She spoke last night. She really values that relationship you've built between her and your magazine. But tell us a little bit about the event too. Is it in the old days it probably came out of the marketing budget, but these days I guess being in the event business is part of your sort of role, isn't it? And
yeah.
You need to make it maybe more revenue positive than it perhaps once was.
I think the days of magazine editors just doing a magazine are long gone. I'm suddenly an events expert, I'm a digital expert, I know how to market, I know all about advertising. We definitely are expecting a lot more these days. But I think what's been successful about this, it is a revenue opportunity for us. First and foremost, it's about the reader, and it's about, creating awards that have substance. But from a pure business perspective, we work with 5 sponsors. Audi have been on board with us for all 6 years of the awards. They're our principal sponsor. And then this year we managed to get 4 other sponsors. So, David Jones have been with us for 3 years, Pasquale Nespresso and ANZ. Yeah. So they're our new sponsors.
Your print readership's done pretty well. It's up year on year. How have you managed that in such a tough environment for print?
Well, I think InStyle occupies quite a lovely niche. We are very focused, very targeted, and I think it's just about being true to the product and not trying to be all things to all people. I think the days of magazines to try and dip here, dip there, do a bit of everything, I just think they're gone. There's so much free content on the web now, so you have to be very targeted and know what your strengths are and play to them. We're a magazine that we're all about fashion and beauty, and we're all about being the expert in that and giving instructional advice, and so that's what we try to do on every page.
Is the outlook for InStyle as a print product better though than maybe some other magazines because of the the experience you have, the luxury, the sort of gloss? And
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think our online offering is very important, but there's nothing like sitting down with a copy of InStyle in your hands. It's tactile, you know, the ads are glossy, everything's glossy, and you want to see those products on the page properly. You want to see the outfits together and see how to put it together and make sure that it really works for you. It's definitely a me time thing.
Still, what are you doing in digital to expand that sort of part of the business?
Oh, so that's what now that I'm fresh off Women of Style, that's my next project, Ingrid. So we're about to relaunch, so we've got a whole lot of new set of wireframes, and we're just in the process of choosing a partner for that. And so that's, 2014, second half is all about relaunching our website. I just want to make sure that we have, greater functionality. It needs to be a much more seamless experience for our readers. We know they come to us for red carpet offerings and they want to see all those clothes on the red carpet, and I just want to make it as easy as possible for them to get through it. And of course, we'll be mobile optimised, which, 50% of our online audience is coming to us from smartphones, so we have to be there for them.
All right, Kirsten Galliot, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Editor of InStyle there. We'd have to take a quick break, but when we come back on Media Week, Game Changer, AdShell rolls out its first big foray into digital out-of-home advertising. That's next.